Okay, so let's go through what we know already. Mitch McConnell was found unconscious in his home 3 weeks ago. He needed CPR by the EMS folks. We haven't heard anything officially from him nor seen him. And his wife traveled to China just 3 days after he was admitted to the hospital. Let's go through all of this story because it sounds really fishy. My radar's up. Something is not right with this. And then let's kind of jump into what this means for Mitch McConnell's seat in the Republican caucus in the Senate. So first off, the summary from Breitbart News. Mitch McConnell and his wife, and keep in mind, his wife, Elaine Chao, is a CCP or a China citizen. She has dual citizenship. She's been married to Mitch for years and was actually part of Donald Trump's first administration as, I think, the travel or the transportation secretary. So Mitch has this heart attack, found unconscious in his apartment. We don't know if his wife, Elaine Chao, is with him or not. It actually looks like she was already in China at the moment or at the time, but either way, she shows up 3 days later after her husband is rushed to the hospital in China, meeting with some Chinese officials. Now, keep in mind, Elaine Chao is not part of the Trump administration right now. This could be a potential Logan Act violation by Mitch McConnell's wife as she's going over meeting with some Chinese officials. So again, she was the former transportation secretary. She traveled to Beijing just 3 days after Mitch has his CPR event, and she meets with Chinese Vice President Juan on June 17th. And there are images, as I just showed you, that verify her not being by her husband's side. So again, this sounds really fishy. In the meeting, Chow said that she was working with and wanted to voice steps to improve ties with the United States and China. Again, Elaine Chao is not part of the Trump administration. There's no official reason for her to be there. So again, an overt Logan Act violation, if you ask me, and my radar's up because I don't think that she had good reasons to be married to Mitch and have these serious ties to the CCP the whole time for a decade or two. So the question really becomes, why did Elaine Chao go to China just 3 days after this event? We don't know. And keep in mind, too, that leader John Thune has voiced that he has spoken with Mitch and his team and that Mitch is recovering. All of this is hearsay because nobody has seen Mitch McConnell alive in the last 3 weeks. His whole team has been very quiet. There's been no official word from the Trump administration. So again, all of this is just adding up to a scenario that we need to walk through. And that scenario ultimately goes to what happens if Mitch is one of two things, either not, from a health perspective, able to finish out his term, or two, if he's dead. And this leads to some big questions. Now, let's walk through some timing on what these questions could mean. So, if Mitch McConnell vacates his position before August 3rd, that's a cutoff date that leads to a potential scenario for a special election in Kentucky. This is a big deal because who else is in Kentucky? Thomas Massie. And if Thomas Massie wants to jump into this special election, that could screw up all kinds of MAGA Donia's plans because evidently Thomas Massie is an enemy of the people at the moment. I don't think he is, but the Trump administration has been very vocal against him. Again, Massie could jump in if this announcement on Mitch not being around anymore we'll make it YouTube safe. If that's the case, then we're going to a special election to finish out this term. That also brings in a scenario where a potential split vote happens within the Republican Party. And again, in a very small chance, a Dem could potentially pull off the win. I don't see that happening. Quite frankly, what you're going to see if there's a special election, you may see Massie, but you're absolutely going to see a vetted and sponsored candidate by Donald Trump that's going to get Donald Trump's endorsement. That won't be Thomas Massie, and he's going to get all kinds of funding and could kind of seal the deal. Now, that doesn't mean that he's going to continue past the date of this term that Mitch McConnell is vacating. He's just going to go to the end of the term. And then we all knew that Mitch McConnell wasn't going to go back for re-election. He's obviously, in this instance, kind of has health issues, maybe some very severe ones, but he's already voiced he's not going back. So now, if Mitch McConnell's seat is not vacated before August 3rd, legally stepping down or having a signed birth certificate, then it's too close to the next election, and that prevents a special election. And at that point, Mitch McConnell's seat's just going to stay vacant at this point and kind of have a placeholder. Now, the question becomes, why did Mitch McConnell's wife travel to China after he was hospitalized? Again, the next of kin, she, meaning, I would guess as to Mitch's living will or not, or just estate, that his wife, Elaine Chao, is the very next of kin. Well, she's not available to sign off on anything that may be keeping him alive and then potentially ending life support. So this is starting to get really fishy. Is the swamp lying to us? That's my question. Is the uniparty, and we know that Mitch McConnell is part of that, delaying something that maybe already happened with Mitch and is just kind of slow walking itself past August 3rd? It's a valid question, and something, again, that I think all reasonable people have to ask, because at this point, his next of kin's in China, and she went there after the event. For sure, we know that. There is a little chatter online that she was already there, but again, ask yourself this. Any reasonable person, if they had an event, a health event, where you needed CPR, you would be there if that was your wife or husband immediately. You'd have family members all over there. You'd have, especially if it's a high-profile person, you'd have a press statement. You would try to get this person, think again, Mitch McConnell, if he's still alive and healthy, as John Thune says he is, you'd get him in front of a camera as fast as you can so that you prevent any of these side conversations from happening. And the fact that they haven't should lead, again, all of us to having some questions. So the question is, are they just dragging their feet until August 3rd, and then we're going to find out what really happened to Mitch? That's what it looks like, folks, because none of this is adding up at this point. Why is Elaine Chao, a non-Trump administration official in China, meeting with China officials 3 days after Mitch's health event? Why isn't she by her husband's side? Again, this is dealing with life support issues, next of kin issues, estate issues, living will issues. None of these she's addressing by her being overseas. And then the next question that I think we all as logical people need to start to consider is this a block that they're putting in place from having Thomas Massie get into a special election? These are all interesting questions that ultimately are starting to come together with Mitch's health event. Now, lastly, keep in mind that Mitch is one of the 5 rhinos that are presently getting in the way of Donald Trump's biggest bill, quite frankly, the most important bill that we need to have all of our attention on, and that's the Save America Act. Mitch has been a no vote on that from the start, along with 4 other individuals from the Republican side. So with Mitch potentially being incapacitated, the question then becomes, what does Donald Trump know? And I'm sure he knows the truth, whatever the truth is. But secondly, What is his strategy to maneuver around and then release one of the 5 votes that's getting in the way of the Save America Act? All of that's in front of us, folks. And again, my spidey sense is up on what is Elaine Chao doing. Is Mitch McConnell still here? Is the swamp protecting his seat and preventing a potential special election? And if they're not, and if there is an issue that they can't delay any further with Mitch McConnell potentially not being here anymore, what does that mean for Thomas Massie? What does that mean for a MAGA candidate that Donald Trump would endorse? There's a lot in this pot. It's all coming up to a boil. I'll keep you posted. So if you've yet to subscribe to the Chris Locke Show, please do so. We have stories like this breaking every single day where we talk about these things as a community and try to educate each other on what's going on within the America First movement. We'll keep you posted. We'll see you in the very next video. Be sure to like and subscribe to the Chris Locke Show for the latest America First news, conservative commentary, and the stories that mainstream media refuses to cover. These 2 videos right up here, they're going to be next. Pick your favorite. I'll see you over there.